great way to start talking about my week 9 power rankings. Now, number 1 on the list, Birmingham retains the top spot. Stallions won a 10-9 game against the New Orleans Breakers on Saturday at Legion Field. They look like they tried to give it away a couple times. I'm not going to be shy about it, man. This team has won every game it has played, but the last couple of weeks in particular has looked a little less stable. Some of that has to do with injuries. Now, Victor Bolden was out. Jeff Thomas was out. There's 2 of your better wide receivers and punt returners out of the game. So Marlon Williams came back into the game after missing the last game due to injury and had really, 7 catches for 109 yards, 12 targets from Jamar Smith, who showed for the first time since week 1 that he has a great ability to run with the football. So if you're going to play man, you're going to turn your back, he can take off and run on you. That said, they played their worst fourth quarter that they played all season. That is usually the quarter when the Stallions are strongest. This is a team that has gotten stronger as the game goes on. Sometimes that phrase vexes me because I'm going, no, everybody's getting weaker. It's just about your stamina. But in their particular case, you can always see how they find a way to bring it together. And usually that means that the other team gives them a bit of help. But hey, push came to shove. Brandon Aubrey made a kick, and then you had a game-sealing interception to seal the victory for the Stallions, who will head into week 9 looking to go 9-0, 10-0. They are the South Division champs. They are going to be the number 1 seed in the USFL playoffs, but still a bunch that I'm sure that they want to clean up. That said, John Chavis has been doing an outstanding job with that defense. Scooby Wright, DeMarcus Gates out there just really body snatching. I'm excited to watch those dudes play football, and they have formed what I think is the best tandem at linebacker in the USFL. And number 2, the New Jersey Generals. It's the one-loss team, right? 7-1. The only loss that they have suffered so far is in the opener against the Birmingham Stallions, where they look like they should have won that game. If it comes down to those 2 teams playing in the inaugural USFL championship game, I think we would all be enthusiastic about that. Generals, North Division is theirs. They've really rallied behind Luis Perez the last couple of weeks. He was 18 of 24 for 220 yards passing with a TD, no interceptions. Victor had 87 rush yards with 3 TDs in the 29-18 win. He leads the USFL in rushing TDs with 9. They're coming together, man. They got one of the better safeties in all of the sport in Shalom Luani. Like, he's been doing outstanding. He's been a ball hawk. When the ball's in the air, you don't want him anywhere around. He's liable to come down with it. Another guy that's liable to come down with it is Philadelphia Stars cornerback Channing Stribling. He had another interception in their win to clinch a playoff spot in the North Division. Also, we saw perhaps the greatest game played all season by a quarterback in Case Cookus. Dude was 20 of 26 for 247 yards passing and had 118 yards rushing on the ground, including one 70-yard run, marauding scamper. He was really rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, trying to get in that end zone. He said in the post-game or press conference that that was the longest that he had ever had to run in college or in a professional football game. It was very exciting to watch them play. The Michigan Panthers tried to make a game of it into the second quarter, but then the Stars poured it on, scoring 46 points, which is the most that any team has scored in any game this season. The Stars were my dark horse to win the USFL championship before the season began, but that was also with Brian Scott as the quarterback. Case Cookus has stepped in, done an outstanding job as Bart Andrus' starting quarterback, and I expect them to really be a factor in the playoffs. It's going to be fascinating to see which one of those teams in the North can get into the USFL championship, the Stars or the Generals. Number 4, the New Orleans Breakers. It's a team that just can't get out of its own way, right? I'm looking at Kyle Sloter, and if he doesn't throw 3 interceptions, they win that game going away. You know, they also got an outstanding turnover to open the game. Like, they stopped Birmingham from getting into the end zone. They get a strip, fumble, and a touchback to give the ball back to the offense. But then you're talking about a game where we saw 5 field goals missed and 6 turnovers. If Taylor Bertolet, the kicker for the New Orleans Breakers, makes even one of the kicks that he misses, including the extra point, you're talking about the very least overtime, if not winning the game and solidifying themselves as having an advantage going into what I thought was going to be a playoff winning game for them. Now, something needed to go right in week 8. They needed to win, and the Tampa Bay Bandits needed to lose. Neither one of those things happened. That said, they still have an opportunity to punch the last ticket to the USFL playoffs with a win against Tampa Bay later this weekend. We'll see if they can come through and make that happen in the South Division, which has at least from the top, looked pretty doggone decent. Number 5, there's Tampa Bay Bandits. Jordan Ta'amu failed to pass for 100 yards, but without Clayton Thorson, without Mark Thompson, without Isaiah Zuber, the Houston Gamblers just did not have the offensive firepower to compete. And that was another, well, it was a double-digit game, but just barely. And remember, one-score game in the USFL was 9 points. They lost that game by 10. Now we're going to see the Bandits take on a New Orleans Breakers team that really had their number the last time they played. The Breakers beat them 34-3. It's the best that they had looked all season. We'll see if Jordan Ta'amu can find a way to put together his best game of the season along with Kyle Sloter. I think those are the two better quarterbacks in the South Division, if not in the USFL, or not two of the three. I'm excited to see which one of those teams comes out on top. Tampa Bay would need to win and win out to get into the USFL playoffs. So that ought to be a game that everybody has circled on their calendar this weekend. Number 6, I got the Michigan Panthers. It's a team that has been plagued by injuries, and really, as soon as we started to find an identity and running the football, playing outstanding run defense, they seem to just fall apart at the quarterback position. They had since released number 1 overall pick, Shea Patterson. We saw Josh Love get a start, put them into an overtime game that they lost, and Paxton Lynch got to start this weekend. He played well, right? I thought it was the best that I've seen a Michigan Panthers quarterback play all year. That said, it's a Michigan Panthers quarterback, and anytime you got to play more than one quarterback throughout the year, it's never a good sign. But I expect them to compete the last couple of weeks. Jeff Fisher's team could just as easily be sitting at 4-4 as they are at 1-7, but they are at 1-7, and they're going to try to play spoiler the rest of the way. Number 7 on the list, the Houston Gamblers. Again, Kevin Sumlin was out, his starting quarterback, without his starting running back, one of the better running backs in the USFL, and without a game-breaking wide receiver. It's really difficult to summon an offense with that. That said, Chris Odom has turned into an absolute problem on that defense. He leads the league in sacks. If they could just put points on the board and then find a way to finish games, I hesitate to think what the Gamblers might be capable of. And going into next year, this is certainly going to be some things that they want to improve, but also a bunch they could build on, not the least of which is Kevin Sumlin figuring out what he has to do to get his passing attack jump started, because Sumlin is a dude for which we all know likes to throw the ball and has produced an odd 5,000-yard passer in college. I'm sure that he's going to be kicking himself trying to figure out what he needs to change at the professional level to get back to having those sort of high-octane, high-scoring offenses that we've come to know him for. And then at number 8, Pittsburgh Maulers, the only team to play 4 different starting quarterbacks this season. This week, they went with Roland Rivers, who is a former Harlan Hill Trophy Award winner, which means that we had a battle of 2 Harlan Hill Trophy Award winners, and he and Luis Perez. That is the FCS's MVP, its Heisman Trophy, if you will. He played just fine, just not good enough to win. Kirby Wilson is going to take a lot from this season, I'm sure, not the least of which is just what he needs to change about his program and how he needs to get them on the good foot when it comes to play calling and really kind of being more dynamic with the offense. But they ran the ball really well. They played outstanding defense, specifically against the run. I was very encouraged to see what the defense was capable of given half an opportunity. I mean, Jaron Horton was calling one heck of a season this year and it impressed me in a number of different games. They have the tools to be good, but that's kind of what it is for all of these teams. They all have the tools to be good, and it's about what have you been able to do in these close game situations. So I'm sure that there's a bunch that they would like to change from this season, but certainly going to try to get a couple of wins to go out this season and see what they can do going into next season. Hey, Kinfolk, I appreciate you for watching. Subscribe here and ring the bell so you don't miss the latest upload to the channel. Also, be sure to watch more videos here, like FS1 Studio shows and the best from Fox Sports and Fox Sports Digital.